soon as it hit the water, I just went, buzz, 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 buzz.
Afraid of the dark, and spiders under my bed. I got some trust issues, and I hate to say it, but I'm a real hothead. Is there anything else that I could conclude? Are mom and dad to blame for my bad attitude? In one ear and out my head, I never heard it when my parents said, do as I say, not as I do. And now I'm messed up cause I learned it from you. Do as I say, not as I do. And now I'm messed up cause I learned it from you. Yeah.
No, don't touch that! I know it smells funny. It's just my medicine. Just close the drawer. Hello. Here we are. Episode 6 of I Learned It From You. And we've got a good one today. Someone who I think is just genuinely one of the funniest stand-up comedians I have seen. You may have seen her on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She's got a wonderful podcast out there. It's Caitlin Peluffo. And she is just... God, she is intense on stage, and like she'll look right in the crowd's eyes. She's an individual, and she makes you feel it. It's really an experience, and she's never mean to the crowd, but she makes you feel like you don't want to disappoint her, and that is it's something that works. It resonates with this podcast because when you have parents or when you have children, the last thing you want to do is disappoint any of them, because that could lead to being disciplined or having been disciplined or having to give the discipline. It's never an easy situation. What I'm trying to get at today is for today's little confessional, I just want to talk about my dad. And when I was growing up, my dad, very, very creative man, and very, very creative in his ways of disciplining. I mean, it wasn't just, hey, I'm going to give you a spanking, go find a switch. There was never physical abuse. It was mental trickery. It was, you were always you had to be on your toes, because you didn't know what he was going to come up with, because my dad was a product of the 60s and the 70s. The man loved his marijuana. The man when he passed away, I got a mason jar full of marijuana, and I know I honored him by smoking it. I can't remember exactly what I remembered under the influence, but I know that my dad loved his pot. And honestly, I'm a pretty big fan myself. My dad would smoke when I was growing up, and I never knew it until I was about 18. But man, when I got in trouble, like I said, it wasn't spankings, it wasn't groundings, it was my dad just getting ripped up, and letting his imagination run wild. Sometime in elementary school, maybe it was early middle school, I learned about the 8th Amendment, which forbade any cruel and unusual punishment. And honestly, some of my dad, I don't know if I described them as cruel or unusual. No, they were definitely unusual, as you are going to find out, because you didn't have this happen to you. Like one time, I remember, I have a little brother, Andy. I'm going to talk about, actually, he's going to be on an upcoming episode, the 10th episode, which is going to be a really, really fun one, because he is honestly one of the most entertaining people that I know. But anyway, we're only 13 months apart, and we could not be more different. And honestly, growing up, he pissed me off. He pissed me off a lot, all right? So as the older brother, one time I was maybe 7, and he was 6-ish. Maybe just on the low side of 6, just turned it, had his birthday. And he had upset me about something. I don't remember what it was, but I remember how I retaliated. And I went up during his bath time. He was in the bathtub being bathed, playing with his little toys. And I went up there with a television remote control. And because I was cognizant of the potential for electrocution, I removed the 9-volt battery from said remote control, and I just dropped it in the tub with him, and it went, hit the water, and as soon as it hit the water, I just went, buzz, 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 buzz. And I made him think as a little 6-year-old that I was going to electrocute him. Obviously, he didn't get electrocuted. He's still with us today, but I had to pay the price because he started screaming. He was terrified. He thought he was going to friggin' die. And my dad, I don't know if had he already toked up or what, but my mom came in and consoled my little brother, and Dad took on the disciplining duties. And I remember specifically, he walked me into his bedroom very, very calmly, and he sat me on this chair that they had, and he goes, why did you do that to your brother? Why do you understand what could have happened? Blah, blah, blah. And he gave me, the rundown of why I did what I did was wrong. And I go, yeah, he goes, so what's going to happen? You've heard an eye for an eye. You scared him with that, and now you're going to understand why that's something that you can't do. And he reached into his pocket and pulled out the 9-volt battery. He pulled the very battery that I removed from the remote control. I probably should have hid it. I'm sure I just left it on the counter or something, but he removed it from his pocket and he handed it to me, and he goes, you're going to lick this. You're going to lick this live battery. And I go, what? Like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And he goes, yes, you are, because you are not going to do that to your brother again. It's not funny to joke about electrocuting a member of your family. Lick the battery. So I was 7. My father was a very physically imposing man at that young age in my life. And I pressed the end of that 9-volt battery to my tongue, and I will never, ever forget the taste of it. I mean, it was just iron, like the bloodiest bloody lip flowing through my entire body. I didn't have any fillings in my teeth at that time, but it felt as if I did just chopped down on some tinfoil. I mean, it surged through my body, not enough to hurt me, but definitely a memory, a core memory, something that I haven't forgot. I licked that battery, and you'd think that just the tingle on the tongue is all that would have happened. But my hair used to be flat. It used to be straight and lay flat. And now I have this mane that is ringlet curly and so puffy. And I honestly think my dad electrocuted my hair into looking like this. Hindsight being what it is, 2020, I'm very, very fortunate that he did it, because my hair is the only thing. I may have said this before, I don't know, but I get so many compliments on this hair. And had my dad not, honestly, rightfully so, electrocuted me, I wouldn't get the compliments. I wouldn't have the sense of confidence that I do in my hair, because God knows I am insecure on so many other things. But then when I'm feeling down, I just look in the mirror and I toss my hair a little bit and I feel better. And I never really realized until this moment, right now, recording this confessional for the 6th episode of I Learned It From You, he did me a very great service. So thank you for that, Dad. But I do remember that's just one of many times that my dad got just ripped up and very creative with his punishments. And every time he did that, I know I already told you about the bike. Never forgot that. Also never left my bike out again. My dad made me lick this 9-volt battery. Never did that again. He was very, very good at teaching you lessons you would never forget. So I try to do that in my parenting. That's a story for another confessional, and Lord knows I have so many more to tell you about my dad. But that is enough of that. I know why you're here, and you want to listen to the back and forth between myself and my guest today. And I will remind you one more time, but before I do that, couple live stand-up dates coming up, and if you want to check me out, I would highly encourage it. This upcoming weekend, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the year 2021, I'm going to be at the Comedy Bar in Chicago. I was supposed to be in Comedy on State in Madison, the 28th through the 30th. That fell through. Really bummed. Hoping to get back there sometime sooner than later. But then after that, November 12th and 13th, I will be at the Laughing Tap in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Cannot wait to get out there. And then on the 19th and 20th of November, I am going to be at Planet of the Tapes in Louisville, Kentucky. And then the following weekend, the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, November 26 and 27, I am going to be at One Night Stands in Waterford, Michigan. So come out, see a show. I hope you've been enjoying the podcast. Please let me know. And as always, follow me on all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok at Zach.Martina, ZACH.MARTINA. Enough of that nonsense. My guest today is super duper exciting. YouTube her set from Late Night with Stephen Colbert. Listen to her podcast, Good Time Kale, which I was fortunate enough to be on a previous episode very recently. And just Google her. Look at her stand-up. She is some of the funniest stuff I have seen. Actually, she's coming out to Dr. Grin's pretty soon here. I mentioned it in the episode. I believe it's early October. But if you're in the Grand Rapids area, go see Caitlin Peluffo at Dr. Grin's and tell her how much you loved her episode of I Learned It From You. But without further ado, here she is. Let's find out why Caitlin Peluffo is the way she is. Caitlin, hey there. Hi there. This is, I think, our 6th episode, and I've really been enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. 6 in a row. Feels good. Yeah.
Oh, just kind of getting them in the bank, getting them out there, you know, feels great. I did your podcast yesterday, Good Time Gal, and I got to say, this gal had a great time.
So did this gal. What a coincidence.
Such a fun one, and I learned a little bit about your upbringing, and
yes.
I was like, this worked out perfect, because I want to dive into that a little bit more. We get into it today.
Yes, perfect.
So you said you have 2 siblings, older sister who is 8 years older?
She is 5 years younger, and then a younger sister who is 8 years younger.
8 years younger, 5 years older.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I was curious with that situation, did you, I know you were old enough to know that a baby was coming. They're like, Caitlin, we're having a baby.
Yeah.
And you were old enough to like decide whether or not you were excited about that or a little apprehensive about that. And I want to see which way you went.
I went excited because my older sister seemed annoyed. So I did the opposite of whatever my older sister was. And then I found out it was a girl and I got bummed out because I wanted a little brother. But it really didn't matter because we were all tomboys. So, but yeah, I would say excited. And then the baby came and I was bummed. Like it was a mix. But actually one of my stories comes from my little sister being born.
Well, let's just dive into that then.
I mean, let's just dive into it. My mom hates this story, but it is true. And it did happen to me. So
Which,
my mom,
by the way, I just got to call back your mom. You referred to her yesterday as Big Wheezy.
Mama Wheezy. Yeah.
Mama Wheezy. And she also, you got to go back. Listen, I believe it's episode number 75 of Good Time Gal, where I learned that Caitlin's mom will order a margarita with tequila on the side.
On the side, so she can pour it in and control how much she has. And then she always ends up pouring the whole thing in and she just gets hammered off of one shot of tequila mixed into a margarita. God bless her. Oh,
that's
I love
my favorite thing. Well, I can't wait to hear this story. I can't wait to hear why Mama Wheezy doesn't like it. I'm amped up and I'm buckled in.
Yeah. I'm visiting my family tomorrow, so I just have to brace myself that this will be brought up. She's very supportive. She listens to every single podcast I've ever done, but I know that she hates this story. One time I was doing this live and she wrote in, was like, stop telling the story. So, but I mean, it's a truth anyway. So my mom is a big old feminist, right? And right when I was like 5 or 6, right before she got pregnant with my sister, she changed her name back to Anderson, her maiden name. So she went full feminist manifesto. I don't need no man except the one I'm married to, but I will not bear his name. She even goes by Ms.
No longer.
Yeah, Ms. M.S. Anderson, Ms. Anderson. It's a whole thing.
That's got a real, like, speaking just with the Matrix coming back out and the agent being Miss, he just keeps saying Mr. Anderson. That's what I get the vibe of Miss Anderson.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't think my mom's ever seen the Matrix, but she's like, no one needs to know if I'm married. And so that's it's no one's business. I love my mother. She has 2 sides to her. It's no one's business. And, oh gosh, did you get everything you needed? Caitlin, don't curse. It's like, it's very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, whatever the fuck. It's yeah. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think all 3 of her daughters have inherited that to an extent. Yeah. So my mom is pregnant and she's going through her feminist phase. It's not really a phase. She's still very much feminist, but and so we're in the delivery room. All of us are in the delivery room, and then they kick us out because there's some complications with the birth. Everything worked out fine.
Before complicate, like you were 8 years old in the delivery room?
Yes. I was 8. My mom wanted us in there to see the miracle of life. So yeah, we were in the delivery room, and my mom was fully waiting for us to.
Was your older sister there for your birth?
No. Sarah was, I don't believe so. Actually, I never asked. I don't think so. Cause Sarah would have only been 5. But
do you remember what it was like in there? Cause like,
oh yeah.
My dad would refused to go into the delivery room when I was born. As a matter of fact, the story that he would tell all the time is in the waiting room, he just pushed together a bunch of chairs and couches, like rearranged the entire waiting room and basically decorated an apartment while my mom was having a C-section. So the fact that your whole family was in there, it's just such a disconnect from what I'd ever known.
Oh yeah. Whole family's in there. Dad stayed in there. My grandma took me and my sister out of the room and we waited outside. My grandma had a video camera. She was ready to just get underneath the sheet and that's my family.
Home movies
of my mom's hoo-ha. If my grandma had anything to do with it. So they kick us out and then everything turns out fine. No complications. Jessica comes out perfectly normal and healthy. And so we all come back into the waiting room and I'm 8 years old. I'm so excited. I'm going back and forth between seeing my mom is okay and then seeing if the baby's okay and then my mom and then the baby. And it was all exciting. And the last time I come back, I'm standing at the foot of my mother's bed and the nurse just has her hands underneath the blanket. And I look up, I see the hands and I'm like, I wonder what she's doing in there. Oh my goodness. And then I look up at my dad and my dad is like, get away from there, like, what are you, get away from there. And then I go to move up away from the foot of my mom's bed. And my mom says, no, you stay there. You watch this. This is a part of being a woman.
Sounds like a real lead by example lady. Like you will learn.
And so I just stand there and I look at my dad and my dad is like, well, we broke this one. Oh God, like this one is going to be screwed up. And I just look and they pull out my mother's placenta and all the afterbirth and they plop it in a tray right in front of me. And then she goes back in and gets more and comes in and then she puts her head under to look and see. And I'm just there like, oh my God, what just came out of my mom? And it's like this huge purpley bloody mass. And I'm just like, go. And then this is part of being a woman. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to have kids. I don't think I'm going to have children. Oh my God.
First of all, you seem to have a very, very vivid memory of it. I have so many questions. They're coming into my brain way too fast. I don't know that I'm going to be able to grasp them all. So you remember what it looks like. I have to imagine like your senses were overloaded in that room as a 8-year-old because you're seeing it. If they're as you described it, the verb you used was plopping it down in a tray. That means there's a sound. That means there's a landing noise.
Yeah. It was it's like I'm sure you've seen it. right? With you,
No, my daughters, technically speaking, are my stepdaughters. My wife and I got together when my youngest was 3 months old.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So they'll never know a life without me until I walk out on them.
Okay. Good for you. But yeah, it's just this huge purpley mass, and it's veiny and it's covered in goop. And it's basically everything that the baby has on its face right when it gives birth. It's just like chunky, and it just hit the pan, and it was just like, just it was huge. I just remember it being gigantic. And then I'm just like wide-eyed, like, I don't think I was supposed to see that. I think my mom told me to see that, but I wasn't supposed to see that.
Also, did your mom have she was probably had the meds, right? The epidural or the drugs or whatever?
Oh, I'm sure
so she wasn't thinking straight?
No, because she barely remembers this. She's like, I don't remember this. This didn't happen. And I was like, this happened. Happened.
So I love that story so much, because I think it's what every parent tries to do. And you try to teach your kid, there's no, they have all these books out there, but the books are fucking bullshit. There's no rhyme or reason or way to do anything. And I love so much that your mom not only had enough faith, and sure, maybe she was all hopped up on drugs, but had so much faith in your maturity as an 8-year-old to be like, she is going to grasp this concept, and God damn it, she's going to know. She is going to learn. You got the greatest precursor to a sex talk any kid could ever have. You're like, is that what you want to happen? Is that what you? I love it so much. She sounds like such a lead by example type of lady.
Yes, she is. She's truly unique, I would say. But she's always been like that. She, kept her own last name, went back to work right away, wanted to make her own money, was in charge of all the finances in our family, stuff like that. She was very much, the patriarch of the family, I would say. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I was lead by example, but sometimes there were some extremes, and that would be one of them.
That's about as extreme as it gets.
Oh yeah. That one, it's just so, I told a friend about it one day, just offhand, before I did comedy, just offhanded. And they were like, that's not normal. That's not a thing that you should have seen. That's horrible. I don't even want to see my own afterbirth.
Well, that's definitely a unique experience. Also, for me at 8 years old, the only thing my penis did was pee. Yeah. So for you to know, this is the whole magic of life, and here's what happens with everything, you got a real education. I have to imagine in health class, you just aced it because you'd already gone through it.
Health class, I think I aced it just because I was kind of a slut. I was a learn by example kind of gal. No, I have no idea. I don't even remember health class. I just remember I don't know if that affected me to the point of I knew I didn't want to get pregnant, but maybe that was in there subconsciously, but it's not even something that I really registered as a thing that happened to me until I was older, in my 20s, and recounted this story to a friend and just being like, yeah, that's what happened. What is that? Whoa, fun. That's the story of Jessica being born. And they were like, so that's insane.
It's absolutely bananas, because your oldest sister then would have been 13.
Yeah. She was 13.
So does she have a more vivid recollection of it? Is this a story that you all sit down around, you're going home tomorrow from New York to San Francisco, you're going to have a family meal. You guys are going to have those zingers, those barbs where one person's always kind of the butt of the joke, but everybody's laughing as a whole because you're a family and you love each other. Is this a story that is told around the dinner table? Because it doesn't seem like great dining conversation.
No, it's definitely not something we tell over the dinner table, especially because my mom shouts, "Stop telling this story." And
you got to time it out to where she's got a fresh bite of food, of the meal, and then start telling the story and see if she just erupts with a mouthful of food. Stop telling this story. There's pork chops all over the place.
Yeah. It would just, if I ever want to piss off my mom, I will tell this story. If I just oh, you're annoying me. Well, remember when I saw Placenta when I was 8? Yeah, no, I don't. I think my little sister knows about this story for sure. And I've told it on stage a few times, but I never worked it out. It was always too gross. Like I told it at like maybe 2 open mics. Like that's it. And it was always people were like, we're eating nachos. What are you doing? You know? And so it's like, okay, I can't tell this story ever again. This is a podcast only story. So you got the scoop here, Zach. Yeah. And but my older sister, I think she remembers the trauma more of getting kicked out because they thought that the baby, there was something wrong with the baby. I think she remembers that more vividly and being really scared that Jessica was hurt or something was going to go wrong. I think she remembers that. And I think she stayed with the baby. She didn't go back and forth to mom like I did, like an idiot. Never check on mom.
So did your sister have more of the maternal instinct than you as like a 13-year-old? Like, I'm going to stay with the baby. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess you're close enough in age with Jessica to the point where you guys were kind of probably like buddies.
Yeah, I would say that's how it is now. My sister was because she was 13, she was like the organic babysitter, you know, insert mother figure, you know, to Jessica. And then she grew up, got married, and started having kids in her mid-20s. And so she's a mother of 2 and very, you know, she works, but it's a very family oriented, very, she's a great mother. She's a great mother. And then Jessica and I are just like buds and just kind of fucking around. And Jessica just shaved her head and got more tattoos. And then I'm just like, I'm doing comedy in New York. Don't even look at me to have kids right now. That's insane. And Sarah's the more traditional mother figure. So yeah, I would say that's definitely what happened.
So you're in New York and your family's from, are you guys all spread out?
They're all in California. They're San Francisco Bay Area and Sacramento. So they're within 3 hours of each other. All and yeah, so whenever I go home, and so is my whole family, like my grandma lives there and cousins, aunts, uncles. I have a few that are in like Montana and Wisconsin, but for the most part, everybody's in California. And so we're going home and we're going to see everybody. I
had no idea that you were from the Bay Area because I met you at the Limestone Comedy Festival in Bloomington and always assumed you were a Midwesterner. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. You've, to me, like you put off, and this is like the greatest compliment a Midwesterner can give. You've got the like this energy of a Midwesterner and not a West Coast like you fit in so well in these flyover states, so much so. It's just like, you're so polite. You're so jovial. Like you're just, I don't know. It's just, you got a Midwest vibe about it and it's wholesome and I love it.
Thank you. That's a very nice thing to say. I love the Midwestern states. I love Indiana. I like going to Indiana, the big cities, to be fair. I like going to Bloomington and Indianapolis.
Not the ones that are built out with farms and very, very political flags.
No. I'm not, although I haven't been, I shouldn't judge. But for the most part.
They make a mean steak and make it right there in their slaughterhouse.
Oh, that upsets me. Is there placenta? I don't want to eat it. Yeah, it's no,
it's like, polenta. Do you think the word, because polenta's like that creamy like rice grain?
Don't you ruin polenta for me. Don't you dare. Don't you dare ruin polenta for me. I love polenta. It's delicious. I'm going to have some when I get home, and I do not want to be thinking of afterbirth when I eat it. Okay? Knock it off. I will fucking leave this podcast. That Midwest nice is out anymore, the window. As soon as you start ruining my favorite foods.
I'm just saying polenta is going to be plopped down on your plate, much like into a...
That's enough. He's doing devil's work.
I'm done. I apologize. That's where my mind went and I had to go with it.
I hate you.
I apologize. I do. It was a cruel thing to do. It wasn't very Midwestern of me.
No. Sure wasn't. But I do get that a lot. I get the Midwestern vibe. And for a while, I thought it was because of my body, like, because I'm very like meat and potatoes kind of gal, I'm you know, I'm built like a farmhand, you know? And so I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I drink like a fish. I love cheap beer and having a good time. But they're like, it's the way you talk too. And I was like, well, I don't know where that came from. Although I will say when I was, this is also a thing that I was a weird kid. Like when I was like in 5th or 6th grade, I just decided to take the parts of speaking and writing that I liked and just made them my own. So I started saying y'all. I started having a little bit of a Southern drawl and then a Midwestern thing. Like I just started, and then I like made my 7s with the cross in the middle. No, I just saw one guy do that once and I was like, I like that. That's how I'm going to make my 7s. And to this day, I do my 7s like that. I just picked what I liked. I picked and chose, you know, from all over the United States and was like, I'm going to talk like that.
I can appreciate that very much because my 9-year-old is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, she honestly has just over the last 2 months really adopted y'all and started putting it into her sentences. And I got to say, I say y'all a lot, like after shows, you know, people are walking by. I'm like, hey, thanks y'all. So it's just so much easier than you all or everyone. Like, but she just really, really took to it. And she does the same thing with her 7s. And she likes to do like impressions. And she's a very unique little lady who's just kind of picking and choosing. So if her future is just even your outlook and sense of humor, I'm thrilled.
Oh, well, don't show her any afterbirth. And I think you've got a level head on you. You've got a fun kid ahead of you who will procreate at one point. You will have grandchildren.
Not if you ask her now.
No,
because we had the reproduction conversation with them very, very early. So they know, like, we didn't show we had no examples. We had no visual aids, if you will, but we told them exactly what would happen. And thank God my wife was there because she could go into like a little bit more detail about what happened. She goes, yeah, well, we'll never have kids. We'll just take care of you when you guys are old. You'll be our kids. And I was like, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
That's fine by me. You got 2 less mouths to feed until you can afford it. Then here we go.
That's perfect. Yeah. Oh, she sounds lovely. I like her.
Oh, you would like her. She's a lot of fun. She wrote her first joke when she was like 4, and her name's Lena, and she goes, "Why can't I stand up straight?" And then I go, "I don't know why." And she goes, "Because I'm a Lena." And I go, "That's fucking awesome,
amazing." Oh,
she's super
so
duper.
Great.
But I mean, did you? So your mom sounds like a just a real lead by example type character, someone you can get behind. Mama Weezy. What was your dad like?
My dad was funny. My dad was very funny and silly. He was this really tall, skinny guy. He has since filled out, huh? But he's still not that. He's just a big, strong man. But when growing up, he was just so skinny, and he looked like, I think we said in your other podcast, one of the many that we did, he looked like Joe Montana. He had like a Joe Montana face. But, handsome man. But he was the jokester. He was always silly. He was always trying to make my mom laugh. On their first date, my dad did pull my finger, and she didn't know what that was, and so she pulled it, and he farted, and he still got the second date. I mean, it's insane. That's their love story. This is so upsetting. Like,
that's a nice little meet cute. I like to imagine that he goes, "Pull my finger." She doesn't know what's going to happen. He farts, and then she just shouts to the entire restaurant, "I'm getting another margarita with tequila on the side over here."
Yeah. Get champagne. I found the one. Oh my God. Yeah.
So your dad, it sounds like he really digs the dad jokes.
Oh yeah. Dad jokes, anything obscene. He loved like Howard Stern for a long time, and just he would tell us like these gross things that Howard Stern did, and my mom would be like, "Gary at the dinner table," and then my dad's like, "It was hilarious." And but yeah, he was always joking and very silly. He was the comic relief, and then my mom would have jokes too. They had good banter. You know,
so the difference between my mom and dad was my dad knew he was being funny. He would try to be funny, and my mom would be funny, and she had no idea she was being funny. Was that a similar situation? Or did your mom know she was tossing a couple barbs? Because it sounds like your dad was aware. He was making the effort.
Yeah. And then my mom, I would say it's half and half, because she's smart. And so she would, she'd deliver it back. They'd play tennis a little bit, but every once in a while she would do something. Actually, they both would. They would do stuff, and you're just like, "What is this? Is hilarious. What are we doing here?" Like my dad decided. My mom got busy with work, and so my dad started taking over all the cooking. And one time he brought home this like carrot casserole that he made. It was soup in a pan with like shredded carrots, and it was just. And he was just like, I made something real healthy. And then my mom was like, we're getting pizza. Like it was so bad. It was really, we all just kind of looked at each other like, what do we do? This is horrible. But he tried, he's a sweet boy.
That's all you can do is just try. So with like, you're obviously a comedian now. And as we have discussed in both other podcasts, as you like to put it, a very good one.
Put it in quotes.
You put it in quotes.
Put it in quotes.
Do you find that like looking back that you were just trying to make your dad laugh, trying to make your mom laugh? Were you going for a whole like, because if your dad was always trying to make you laugh, did you get the same gratification of giving him the elicited laughter that he had got from you?
I think I just wanted to make everybody laugh. I remember that I was always, and it wasn't really jokes. It was being silly and teasing people.
Roaster.
I was like a roaster for sure. And I negged a lot. Like my flirting was being a roaster. And that was.
Is that what that's called? Negged?
Neg. Yeah.
Flirting?
Negging.
Like picking on.
Yeah.
That's how you flirt. I had no
it's
idea.
like
but
poking
that's
the bear to get their attention, but in a fun way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's awful. It's a terrible trait.
But it's exactly what I did. And I had no idea it had a name.
Yeah. Yeah. Negging. At one point, actually, Jeff Sheen, your other co-host here, at one point, I said on stage, yeah, I was a really big negger. And he goes on stage after me, he goes, did anybody else get real nervous when Caitlin said negger? I was like, I didn't even make that connection, but I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Whoops.
File that one away with
I'll never
the
say that
Afterbirth
again.
story.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I negged a lot, and I was, but always like, always very roasty and always trying to be like the class clown, but like loud. I was always that loud, crazy friend. And then at home, it continued. I was just silly and loud. And my mom I was very stubborn. So my mom had a hard time with that, but my dad loved it. My dad thought it was hilarious.
So loud and boisterous. I was the same way in high school, but I found a lot of people calling me obnoxious, and that got to me.
Oh, no.
Did they never, just being loud, you never got called obnoxious?
Not to my face. I would imagine teachers found me obnoxious. I can only imagine being, I was such a piece of shit. And so, I'm sure people found me obnoxious, and I'm sure people didn't like me. I don't remember being incredibly popular. But I did have friends, but I was like, I was still like, fucking, she's crazy. But no one ever told me I was obnoxious to my face. But I'm sure it was kicked around. Yeah. Well, I was also huge. I was also like this size when I was like in 7th grade. So I was a big, so you're not going to be mean to me because I'm terrifying looking.
Yeah. So it was easy. You had a just a get out of jail free card to neg on people because no one's going to come at you.
Yeah. I think when I was younger, I was a bully. Elementary school, I was kind of a bully. And then I tried to be hot. And so the bully turned into flirting. Like that's what
but it was all you knew. So it was still.
Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, so I'll just try and make this work for me. And it didn't. So
who says you can't be sugar and spice?
I mean, and just bad. It was a bad combo. Oh God. I look back at my high school days and be like, what the fuck were you doing?
Oh, I know.
But who doesn't? Who doesn't?
The people that still wear their varsity jackets unironically.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Oh, boy. Those people make me real sad.
I mean, I have a varsity jacket, but I have worn it twice, and once was for pictures. So
yeah, it's in the closet, buried deep back there. So maybe when my daughters get them, because they're both involved in athletics, we can do a silly family picture, but like it's a costume at this point.
Absolutely. It's a costume that I got for my mother. So
well, tell me some more. I know you had said you had a couple other stories. I'm fascinated to hear about this family dynamic and what were some of the roads that took you to the way that you are?
I mean, my family, see, I wasn't sure what kind of stories you wanted I just knew that first one for sure. My parents were very strict to an extent. My older sister, guessed that,
given how funny they were.
Oh yeah. My mom was so worried about us getting pregnant. And like all three of us didn't drink in high school. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke. I don't know about Jessica. Jessica might have had a smoke or two, but for the most part, we were very straight edge in high school because sports were such a big part of our lives. And my older sister was like valedictorian, did every sport. She was like teacher's pet. Everybody loved Sarah. Sarah was and well behaved, never brought boys around. And so I was constantly like told to live up to that standard,
sure.
So there was a lot of, so they were very strict in that way. And I was boy crazy. So I kept sneaking out. And I remember one time I said I was going to a party I was going to hang out at my friend's apartment complex. And then we skipped town and went to Burlingame to a party. And I made out with Hector Rojas. In the bushes.
Hector Rojas sounds like a hottie.
He was a total hottie. What a babe.
Shout out Hector Rojas. Hector out there. Yeah. I hope you're not wearing your varsity jacket anymore. You seem like a great guy.
Yeah, he was okay. We won't get into it. We said his full name.
Multiple times.
Yeah. And so I remember being that I came home and my mom found out, obviously, because we got home late and she was waiting to pick me up. And then we like ran home. It was a whole thing. And so she obviously knew that something was up. And
you ran home?
Well, yeah, we were 2 towns down. Someone's mom, I forget, picked us up to bring us back to the apartment complex. Okay. And I remember vaguely like this mom she was like from Brazil. She didn't speak a lot of English, but she just saw these like white girls freaking out in the back seat.
Was it Hector Rojas's mom? Because Rojas sounds like a Brazilian name.
No, it was Gustavo's mom.
Okay.
Gustavo's mom. And like, she like stopped at a yellow light and Gustavo was like, Mom, God. And I just remember her smiling at him. I was like, she has so much pleasure watching these dumb white chicks freak out in the back. They're going to get in so much trouble. And she's thrilled,
Stops at a yellow light.
Yeah. She just stopped. Mom. And she's like, stupid chica blancas. Like, I could just imagine. Oh, and so I got found out. I got grounded for the entire summer, all 3 months, couldn't leave my house.
So this was before school got out? So it was like the full on.
It was the last week of school. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I couldn't see anybody. I was grounded. I ended up just like diving into weight loss stuff and just losing like 15 pounds. It was nuts. Just working out in my bedroom. Cardio. Yeah, pretty much. It was in my bedroom doing push-ups, sit-ups, like all that stuff. It was crazy. But my mom, like, that's what would happen. She would, went out of line, it was like, you're locked down for at least a month and you can't go anywhere except for soccer practice or, sports practice. You have to read. It was nuts.
Did you have chores and stuff? Like, was there not yard duty essentially, but like
it was a lot of dishes, a lot of dusting, a lot of vacuuming, making sure your room is picked up. So sometimes I would have to go to work with my mom, and
which was what?
She was a teacher, and so I had to hang out with second graders all day. Well, she was in a different district, so sometimes she taught summer school, but so like the dates didn't match up. And so I remember after that one, I had to go and I was sitting in these tiny little desks just with these kids. And it was humiliating. But it made me not want to be a teacher ever.
So here's a couple things that your mom has taught you. Don't ever have kids. That was the one example. And don't ever be a teacher.
No, for sure. She is.
And don't get pregnant.
And don't get pregnant. And if you lie, I will take away everything you've ever loved.
We do the same thing at home. I'm like, I don't care if I've got to come get you from a party. I don't care if you fuck up. But if I find out that you're lying to me, it's all gone. Yeah. And like just pull that dad look where it's like, you know how to act. Don't ever lie to me. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And that was the case. And my dad would just be like, just don't piss off your mom. Like that was that was and then I remember one time I found a Betty Boop. This isn't really a life lesson, but it does affect me to this day. I found a Betty Boop necklace on the floor at a parking lot at a mall. And I brought it home with me. And I was like, oh, and I was wearing it around my neck. You know, I was like, this is a cool Betty Boop necklace. And my mom was like, where did you get that? And I was like, I found it on the floor and in the parking lot at Saramonte. And he did not believe me. And she thought I stole it. And so berating constantly, where did you get that? Like an interrogation, like no joke. Like I'm sitting on this bed and interrogation is going on. And and I remember this bedroom because it's like this bright pink gingham bedroom. And I was such a tomboy. It didn't fit at all, but it was my mom's when she was little. And so there's a picture of me in in a basketball USA jersey from the 1996 Olympics and a t-shirt and a ponytail covered in dirt, I think. And I'm sitting on this bed that is bright pink gingham with ruffles and a canopy and then bows around the edge. It looked ridiculous.
Was this your cell when you got grounded?
Yes. I mean, it was nuts. And I'm sitting there just like, okay. And so I remember sitting there on the other side of the bed and just like weeping because my mom came in and was like interrogating me. And then she sent my dad in to interrogate me. And then she sent my sister in to interrogate. Caitlin, I'm cool. We're friends. Where did you get the necklace? I was like, I'm sticking to my story. I found it on the floor. No one believed me. And so we had to drive back to Saramonte and I had to give the necklace to Lost and Found. And I was like, I should have just never worn the necklace. It would have been mine. I found it.
It was my treasure.
It was a cheap little necklace. It was like a locket with Betty Boop on the front. It was trash. It couldn't have cost more than $10. And they just decided that was the life lesson. No one's going to believe Caitlin. And so now every time like something confrontational happens, I have like 6 different backstories of like, this is what happened. They will believe me. Always get proof. Like it's just...
You're the type of person who at a gas pump, you're like, you always get the receipt.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I need to prove that I paid for this.
Oh, my God. It freaks me out. So anyway, So that's not really a life lesson, but just more of a childhood trauma.
I get it. Were you a fan of Betty Boop before?
I think I liked her. You know, I thought she was like cool looking because they had the sailor, pinup stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. And I liked everything 50s and 60s.
Okay.
I was really into like doo-wop and Motown and stuff.
Well, that makes a lot more sense.
And I loved Elvis, Yeah. Still love Elvis, but
Elvis is great.
Yeah. So that was kind of in that realm.
So the punishment for that was just return the charm. Nothing thereafter.
I honestly can't remember that being screamed at was so traumatic. and
just grilled
and weeping and then being like, they sent my sister in, like made Sarah come in and be like, Caitlin, just tell me it's fine. Mom and dad are really mad. I'm not mad. Did you steal it?
She tries to relate. She goes, I did something pretty similar when I was your age.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I didn't steal this. To this day, I never steal. I do not steal. It's terrifying. Maybe that was the life lesson, just to scare me so hard that I would never steal anything ever.
Yeah, did you get scared straight even though you were already straight? Like you were a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, I was a good kid. Oh my God. Ugh, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it sounds like
that
one stuck with you.
That one stuck with me super hard. One time I walked out of a Target with sunglasses on my head that I was trying on. And I think about it to this day.
I
didn't go back.
Oh,
and I was like, because it was in a different town. So I have stolen. That's the only time.
Okay. Do
and
you still have those sunglasses?
I still think about it. No, of course not. Of course not.
They're Target sunglasses. You buy them to lose them.
Yeah. Well, it was more like I'm going to subconsciously make sure that I lose them because I can stop looking at them with all this guilt. Like it's, oh God. But yeah, no, I don't steal. I do not steal.
Speaking of stealing, I found myself in with not necessarily a bad crowd, but like a mischievous crowd. And we used to go to fast food restaurants and just take paraphernalia with their logo on it. And I remember one time we were trying to steal a life-size cardboard cutout of Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm not kidding, a SWAT team basically from the kitchen, all wearing their Burger King cloaks and aprons and visors, come running out and just get in front of the car. And they're like, give us back Shaquille. And we had to give him back because he was like a 7'6", whatever, however tall Shaquille O'Neal was. The back of it was just hanging out of the back of the car. I don't know how we thought we were going to get down the freeway. Another time we went in and just like we were drunk. This would have been a good story to tell on your podcast yesterday, but we rolled up these Taco Bell rugs with the big Taco Bell logo and then would just take them. And my mom goes, where did you get this? And I told her, I found it. And she goes, where? On the floor at the entrance of a Taco Bell. We're taking it back right now. And we went to the drive-thru and I had to hand them a rug through the drive-thru window.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, those poor people. To work at Taco Bell for minimum wage and just be like, these drunk idiots just want a chalupa and they're going to take my fucking rug. God damn it.
That rug really tied the room together. Did it not just go full Lebowski?
Yeah. I mean, you monster.
I was a prick. And just talking to you this week, I have realized how deeply I have buried some of my demons.
Haven't we all?
I think so. Well, this has been an absolute blast. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to plug it up top, but please tell the people where they can find you, what you're proud of. And just, I mean, I already mentioned Good Time Gal. Get the rest out there.
Good Time Gal. I love that podcast. Very fun.
Super fun.
And then you can follow me on Instagram. That's a big one, at Caitlin Peluffo, CAITLINPLUFFO.
I'm going to put your handle right down at the bottom of the video. So it's just going to be real easy.
Oh, good. And then thank you, by the way.
Of course.
That was so weird. Anyway, thank you. Yeah. And then I'm going on the road a bunch. My website, CaitlinPeluffo.com, that's going to have all of my dates. And I'm coming to Grand Rapids at the beginning of October. So really? Midwest people, I'm headlining Dr. Grin's October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I think.
I'm in Chicago, but I won't be able to go out. I highly recommend everybody go see Caitlin because I've seen you perform now, I don't know, I would say 4 or 5 times. And I maintain it is some of the funniest stuff that I have seen, but also one of the most intense sets I have seen ever. I don't know how you do it, but the way that you can just maintain eye contact with the people that you are talking to in the crowd blows my goddamn mind. Blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know what I would do if I would focus on the spot right in between your eyes. It's so much fun. And you're not mean about it. Like, you're super intense, but super complimentary. But it's so great. Definitely go see Caitlin at Dr. Grin's October 1st through 3rd.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah.
It'll be September 31st through the 2nd, right?
I think so. Whatever that Thursday through Saturday is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll be there and I'm super excited.
Oh, have you been before?
Yeah. I've featured there a few times, and then someone had a cancellation and Mama swooped in last minute.
Ooh, you won't be a cancellation fill-in after that week, and I'll tell you that you're going to become a club favorite.
I will honestly be whatever they want me to be. I need the money. So I'll be your daddy, Grand Rapids. I'll do whatever you want. Okay.
They might not like that. They're a rather conservative town.
Well, we'll see.
I think you'd make a great father for what it's worth.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think you'd be a real silly disciplinarian.
Yeah. Just make your mother happy. Stop pissing off your mom.
Well, Caitlin, thank you so much. And I will talk to you sooner than later.
Thank you. Yes. I will see you soon.
Cool. Bye. And that concludes this week's edition of I Learned It From You. And I'll leave you with a little quote that my father used to say to me every single day. Give a person an episode and they listen for a day, but if they rate, review, and subscribe, then they're listening for a lifetime. So I beg of you, please rate, review, tell your friends, and for the love of God, subscribe. I Learned It From You is hosted by me, Zach Martina, with music by Brad Goff, produced by Brett Mercer, and graphic design by Trevor Smith.